Alright, so I think I'll get started. So, hey everybody, Blood Moon Bobby here. I'm hoping more people check out the stream in a bit. So as the title implies, today I'm going to be looking at episodes 2 through 5 of Amphibia. Yay, another really crazy show for me to check out. Honestly, I yeah, oh, I did notice, the delay in the stream, but that's just how it is. I kind of joked last night to myself saying I really should just call this channel Fear Factor 2.0 because of how crazy some of these shows I review get, or that I should just turn this into like, if James Rolfe is the angry video game nerd, then I guess that makes me the anxious cartoon person. So, yeah, but so I'm gonna be looking at episodes 2 through 5. I'm starting with this two, and by that I mean that I'm gonna be looking at the following episodes: Kane Crazy, Flood, Sweat, and Tears, Hopluck, Stakeout, The Domino Effect, Taking Charge, and Theft Auto, and Breakout Star. I already reviewed the first two episodes a really long time ago. I think it was back when Amphibia first came out. I mean, don't quote me on that, but that review is still up on my channel. It's just that I've been procrastinating, and then lo and behold, Amphibia became another super intense, story driven Disney Channel show, kind of like Star vs. the Forces of Evil, or the other show I'm currently reviewing, Owl House. And since Owl House is taking a break, I figured that this would be a really good time for me to get caught up on Amphibia. Will I get caught up in time for its third season premiere? I'm not gonna make promises that I am because of my exhausting schedule. But yeah, I do hope to be caught up on the show before its third season ends. So but today we're taking a look at episodes 2 through 5. Back when Amphibia, it started off with more exposition-y, kind of easier to watch episodes and things like that. I heard its second season finale got so crazy they had to put like a warning saying, hey, this might be intense for younger viewers. And I saw some of the screenshots from True Colors, but I don't know the context behind them. I just saw things like Anne's hair turning blue and something in, I think it's like going through Marcy. It's not like bloody or anything from what I've seen, but it is kind of intense. But I'll get to True Colors when I do get to True Colors. What I am thinking of doing until then is every 5 episodes, just so my memory stays fresh, I'm gonna be doing a live stream talking about the episodes. I just realized my fan is on. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Just didn't want any background noise coming in. So every 5 episodes I get through, I'll be doing a live stream. For this one, I'm doing an exception because I already reviewed the first 2 episodes, so I'm going through episodes 2 through 5 just to kind of keep up the order and things like that. So, yeah, so without further ado, if you have any of your own thoughts on Amphibia, don't get too spoilery, because I still don't really want to get spoiled, just in case some really big surprises are going to come up, which I highly suspect with how hyped Amphibia is online. But you could say things like, this episode that's coming up is something you should check out. Or you could even say, oh, I like, Marcy, or my favorite character is Anne. I'm actually cool with, people, filling me in on, non-spoilery things. Like, even something like Sasha's character, who I don't know too much about Sasha other than from what I understand, she kind of comes off as one of those characters who's like antagonistic but has good qualities since she was Anne's friend on Earth. So yeah, I'm totally cool with that. You could let me know in the chat, what your favorite episode is, who's your favorite character. I'm not gonna get too into fan theories since I'm diving into the first season pretty late. So I know that there's gonna be things that are already answered, and honestly, since these uh episodes, the ones I'm gonna be talking about today, are not like the super plot heavy ones, I honestly don't have too many theories. I guess I could theorize things like, where the heck Sasha and Marcy are, but since those episodes are already out there, I don't really see the point in like theorizing about episodes that are already technically something I could watch. It's just I can't check them out yet because I'm not caught up. So without further ado, we'll start talking about the episode Cane Crazy. Cane Crazy is the episode where Anne accidentally breaks Hopop's cane. And this is something I noticed as kind of like a big thing about the relationships in Amphibia, is that generally speaking, Anne does get along with the Plantars, Sprig, Polly, and Hopop. But the one she tends to clash with the most is Hop Hop, and it's mostly like a generational thing where like Anne is up for trying really new things, while Hop Hop is very like tied to his traditions and things like that. So that's something I noticed in quite a few episodes, and it's even something that's a part of my favorite episode on this list, which I'll get into later. And so Sprig and Polly have to help Anne rebuild this cane, because not only is it Hop Up's cane, it's like something that's passed down from like his ancestors. And so they go to this character Leopold Loggles, who recommends them to go to this scary looking tree called the Doom Tree in order to get a piece of wood to try to rebuild the cane. Which, by the way, the Doom Tree itself, I think I really like the antagonistic character designs in these 5 episodes, especially like I really like how the Doom Tree itself like walks around. It looks like a very creepy bug, sort of like a praying mantis. So that's probably my favorite aspect of the episode. Came Crazy, it's an alright episode. It pretty much goes the way you'd expect it to, in terms of like of course, the Doom Tree goes nuts and starts giving chase to Sprig, Polly, and Anne, and they even have to like go back to Leopold Loggles, and now they're having a fight with this Doom Tree at Leopold Loggles. And spoilers, which there are gonna be spoilers when throughout these streams, and defeats the Doom Tree using these termites, which it doesn't kill the creature, but the termites like kind of eat the wood skin on the Doom Tree, and it leaves. So I noticed that some people are joining once again. Without getting too spoilery, you could tell me what your favorite Amphibia episodes are so far, or even your favorite characters. You could even talk about like what are your favorite aspects of the personalities of characters like Anne, Sprig, Polly, Marcy, or Sasha. Just don't get too spoilery about what happens. So I think it's a okay episode. It's a decent adventure. Like I said, I think my favorite aspect of it was the design of the Doom Tree, and it ends in a very heartfelt way. Throughout the episode, Anne is worried that Hop Hop is going to kick Anne out of the house, and of course, Hop Hop doesn't do that. It's just that he wants Anne to be more respectful toward him, and he even says, I think this is the one where he says that where Anne reminds him of his younger self. So overall, I would say Cane Crazy is a pretty decent episode. Again, kind of reminds me of the relationship dynamics that go on between Anne and the Plantars. I guess you could say Anne and Hopup's relationship remind me a little of like Star and Moon's relationship and Star versus the Forces of Evil, although this is more of like a generational gap thing compared to, lots of other things, like in terms of style of rule and things like that, in Star. So, okay, so Kane Crazy. Flood, Sweat, and Tears, that's the episode where Anne and Sprig become roommates after the house becomes flooded. This is actually an episode I really like a lot of the antics that happens in the episode, because what happens here is, at first it seems really cool, hey, Anne and Sprig are, getting to become roommates and they're best buddies, but things start to go downhill because the two characters have very like different preferences and things like that, like how Anne prefers to have the window open at night because it gets really hot, but it's way too cold for a Sprig. There's even a point where like he turns blue and has to get all this he's just like, it's like his, I guess you could say, like his skin becomes icy and it kind of breaks off. And another preference is that Anne actually likes to stay up and read while Sprig prefers to get as much sleep as possible. And also Sprig has a habit of ribbiting during his sleep and things like that. And so I just really like the antics of, over the course of like 10 nights, you could see the two are like having these differences, and I thought that was actually a really funny part of the episode. I would say pretty much the middle of Flood, Sweat, and Tears was my favorite. I'm just trying to remember a bit. So of course, then it leads to the climax of the episode, where Anne and Sprig fight these creatures in the I guess it's the living room of the Plantars' house. And since they, one of the things they have is pillow fights, they actually use a pillow fight to defeat these creatures. And through the course and at the very end of it all, they start to burrow away, which starts to drain some of the water. And at the very end of the episode, I like how it goes for a more balanced approach, where Anne starts to she starts to sleep in the living room instead of being Sprig's roommate. But to show that they are still friends, it's just that being roommates is not something that they could muster. Or Sprig brings down the can. They do the thing where like he uses a can like it's a telephone and gives it to Anne, and they're still able to communicate in that way. So I thought that was really nice. Hold up a second. I just realized my laptop wasn't plugged in. Where is the charger? Okay. There is the charger once again. You can let me know your thoughts on your favorite Amphibia episodes and characters in the live chat. That's why I do these discussions live, one, because I really enjoy the generating conversations about these shows, and also because whenever I do these show reviews, I think it would be really, like, difficult for me to do a review where I'm just like, where I'm like filming it with my Nikon camera and like having to do things like audio sync and things like that. Whereas with this is just something where I basically turn on a camera and I just like talk as much as I want, sometimes with friends. But today I wanted to go at my own pace. So overall, I thought Flood, Sweat, and Tears was a good episode. Like I said, I really like the antics, especially with the whole thing about like how they show over the course of 10 nights that they just cannot get along as roommates. I thought was really funny. And then I know this is kind of a episode often joked about on the internet, the Hopluck episode. You might remember this one as the one where Anne wants to make a pizza, and then Sprig is like, hey, let's put pineapple on it. But much like Gordon Ramsay, Anne really detests pineapple being on a pizza, and she tells Sprig, don't you dare suggest putting pineapple on a pizza. Which, by the way, if you were to ask me what's my stance on the whole pineapple on or off pizza, I'm not really a fan of the idea. I don't like pineapple in general, so I'm not putting that on pizza anytime soon. But anyway, after I said my 2 cents on that, so basically the reason why Anne is suggesting the family should make a pizza is because the family is participating in this potluck in town, and the Plantars always lose and end up being put in this, what they call the cage of shame. And so they're trying to figure out, what's a really good recipe they could enter this year and hopefully not get ridiculed by the town. And so that's why Anne's just making a margarita pizza, so they have to go looking for the ingredients: dough, basil, cheese, and tomatoes. But their only ways of getting it is through really intense measures. Like, I remember when they were trying to get the pizza dough from this cook, the cook was like, Sprig will have to, down the line, will have to marry this cook's daughter, and the daughter is like really creepy and intimidating. There's even like, she even has like this doll of Sprig that she like stabs, like it's not a voodoo doll, but it's done in that way where it kind of reminds me of that kid in Temple of Doom who, stabs the doll of Indiana Jones. The only difference is there's no pain, but I'd still be really intimidated. And in the scene where they're trying to get cheese, they have to tame this elderly woman's slug cow, and Anne does it, through I think it was like a red piece of cloth, the Toro thing, like it's a bullfight and things like that. So I thought, that was neat. And then to get the basil, they have to go through this aphid. So it's just really intense. So it's definitely not like, going to your local grocery store. It's a bit more dangerous than that. And then to get the tomatoes, they have to get them from this really, this plant creature that I guess you could say it's kind of like Audrey 2 in Little Shop of Horrors, or me as a Nintendo fan, they just kind of remind me of like the piranha plants you would see in Mario games, just without the white spots. And of course, the family gets eaten, and it cuts to the part of the episode where I should have mentioned this a bit sooner, where this episode, much like Flood, Sweat, and Tears, here's this episode kind of shows the bit of the clash between Anne and Hop in terms of generational differences, because Hop wants to go through this very traditional recipe book, whereas Anne is like, no, try something new. Let's do pizza instead. And also because, frankly, Anne finds a lot of the food in, that Hop makes to be really disgusting and swampy and things like that. And so, I'm trying to jog my memory there. So towards the end of the episode, they learn to compromise and accidentally loses a lot of the ingredients. So they end up agreeing to go with this pie recipe from Hop's cookbook. Although the one huge difference is they add a piece of tomato, which, surprise, surprise, it ends up making the dish the best recipe that the planters have entered according to the judge of the contest. The only downside is that the judge still deems the dish to be pretty crappy, and so they end up being thrown in the cage of shame, but they end up being together as family and included in the cage. So it ends in that kind of nice way. It just occurred to me that I find it interesting that it doesn't occur to Hopluck. I mean, I do like the message at the end where the two learn to compromise. It's not just a thing where it ends with, okay, we'll completely go with Hopluck's recipe, or okay, we'll go completely with Anne's pizza recipe, because they end up not being able to make the pizza, which, as somebody that likes margarita pizza, that kind of made me a bit sad, but I get the message of the episode, but it just kind of occurs to me that it's a bit interesting that it doesn't occur to Hopluck that, hey, whenever I did, recipes, it's not the cookbook's problem. It might just be a thing where it's like, the town, really doesn't like the planters. But it's just kind of interesting to me that it doesn't occur to him that, hey, maybe if I try something new, then maybe I'll have a chance of winning the potluck this year. But at the end of the day, I still get the intent of the episode, which, it's a message I do really resonate with, this idea of merging new ideas with old ideas. Again, like I said, through how they agreed to make this pie that looks like it came out of Hopluck's cookbook, but also using a piece of tomato to try to spruce it up. So again, overall, I would say Hopluck is a pretty good episode. Next episode I'll be discussing is Stakeout. And honestly, I would say of the episodes I'm going to be talking about today, Stakeout is my personal favorite. Because I think it really, because I really like a lot of the character designs in this episode. So again, so it's another episode we're going to be looking at where Anne and Hopluck just do not get it along. Yeah, this is the one where Anne, is struggling to do a lot of the chores, and Hopluck is saying things like, oh, when I was a kid, we didn't have a bathroom, and also kids were appreciative of doing the chores and things like that. So Sprig attempts to fake a robbery and make it seem like somebody has stolen all this corn from the fields, and so Anne and Hopluck will have to do a stakeout to catch the corn thief. You know what I'm saying? And like I said before, if you're just joining the stream, first of all, welcome. If you have seen Amphibia and you're much more caught up than me, you could let me know what your favorite episode is, or even your favorite character. Yeah, so the two characters agreed to, do a stakeout. And at first it starts to go off okay, where the two can kind of relate in how Hopluck's very nostalgic of the days that have gone by, and Anne is very, very much, is, really misses home and things like that, which is also another recurring thing that comes up in some of these episodes, is this idea of Anne wanting a sense of belonging and missing home, which, is understandable since, she's all of a sudden in this very different world. But then things start to go down south when they start getting really competitive again. Anne says, and she's gonna drink this energy drink, and Hopluck's gonna drink this really strong tea. And since the two are competing about, oh, you can't handle all this, this amazing drink and things like that, they end up drinking each other's drinks. Anne taking the tea and Hopluck taking the energy drink, and hold on, I'm just trying to remember. Actually, oh wait, no, I should have said that. Actually, if I'm going by the order of what occurs in the episode, it was actually that their talk of nostalgia actually comes after they drink each other's drinks. What I what gets to the most enjoyably crazy part of the episode is when they start hallucinating because they basically can't handle each other's drinks. Like Anne starts to think that Hop Up's head is a teapot, and Hop Up starts thinking that Anne's hair is like changing color and it remains at this blue color. And it kind of cracked me up because I know in the second season finale, when Anne goes into her Super Saiyan Beast mode, her hair turns blue, and I almost wondered if it was foreshadowing. I'm leaning towards no. I think it's more of a coincidence thing, but I just thought it was kind of interesting that in Hop Pop's hallucination, Anne's hair turns blue, and it would later turn blue at a different point in the story in a much more drastic situation. And they both start thinking that oh my God, there's the corn thief, but it's really just Sprig and Polly, and they have this big battle where they're shooting lasers and things like that. The only difference is that they're not really fighting anything. They're just kind of flailing their arms in the air, and Sprig and Polly are just like, what's going on with them? And I also liked how Sprig learned his lesson in the end when things get really drastic, and Hop Up are starting to throw sharp objects at them, and Sprig comes out crying and saying, I learned my lesson. I shouldn't have tried to get you to force you to get along, which in a way it does help them get along and protecting each other, even if it's a hallucinatory, if that's even a word, even it's through hallucination and things like that. And the episode ends off with Polly taking a swig at Anne's energy drink, and it causes her to have her own hallucination. This is really sounding off, where she has a boulder or monster friend and things like that. So yeah, so I would say overall, for its creativity, Stakeout is my personal favorite episode of the ones I'm talking about today. Is it gonna remain up there as one of my top 10 favorites? I'm frankly not super sure, because I'm waiting, because I still have yet to get to the super heavy episode, so things could change when I get there. And once again, if you're joining in, you could let me know. I'm really interested in knowing what's to come, or who are some of the best characters in Amphibia. So you could let me know in the chat what your favorite episode is, or even who your favorite characters are without getting too spoilery. Like maybe, let me know if your favorite character is Anne, Polly, Sprig, Hop Up, Marcy, or even Sasha. So the next episode, the cat episode, which is the domino effect, where Anne adopts this cat caterpillar, which reminds her a lot of her own cat named Domino. And once again, it's another episode where I really like a lot of the creativity. I would say the best things I could say about these episodes I'm looking at, again, episodes 2 through 5, is some of the character designs. Like, I really like this idea of a cat caterpillar where it looks like a cat, but it crawls around like a caterpillar. And so Anne adopts this seemingly friendly cat, but it's starting to hint at that it's going to be a much more fearsome creature. Like, I remember Anne is like her face is kind of scratched up from this cat, and at first Anne is just thinking, kind of just acting, it's just typical cat behavior. But when it starts forming a cocoon, this cat caterpillar becomes more of like a cat butterfly, the scary cat butterfly that looks like it's going to try to eat the plantars. And so Anne has to learn to let this creature go, and she has this emotional letting go, where she's even giving this creature this mouse toy and giving it a emotional send off, which I felt like very sympathetic for, because it's because I like how some of the episodes go into how into Anne's wanting a sense of belonging and missing home, like becoming homesick, and so I really felt for her send off. And toward the end, Anne gives her this creepy looking plushie that's supposed to be reminiscent of Domino 2 when she was still in that cat caterpillar form. So I think overall, I do like this episode, mostly for its creativity, and I thought it was really ingenious, this idea of not only having a character that's a caterpillar, because the word caterpillar has the name cat in it, but also this idea of it turning into like this scary butterfly looking creature. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so overall, I do like the domino effect. Next episode, taking charge gets kind of weird. So what happens in this episode is Anne gets most of the Plantar family interested in this TV show she really likes called Suspicion Island, and Hopluck seemingly isn't interested in it, but then things start to go south when Anne's phone all of a sudden, its battery is dying, and she has to figure out a way to get a charge, and the characters all start getting really suspicious of each other, and end up going to this place that has these creatures called Zappipedes that could charge Anne's phone. And the characters, much of the episode, the characters are like bickering toward each other and just not getting along. They become just as suspicious of each other as the characters in Anne's TV show. What I found, I'll admit, something that did kind of catch me. I mean, this isn't, I guess looking back, it's not too unpredictable, but they go the course where they make it seem like Hopluck is not, interested at all in Anne's show. But then when things start getting really hectic, he admits to taking Anne's phone and binge watching all the episodes, and the reveal, they do the big thing where Hopluck is like, "It was me!" And things like that. So I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. I don't know. I guess I was just really convinced that, Hopluck isn't really interested, because I thought it was just part of the dynamic between him and Anne and his family, where he's kind of resistant to trying a lot of Anne's new ideas, and he's very set in his ways. And of course, in this episode, he got very hooked to the show, and he got very hooked to Suspicion in Island, and ended up binge watching all the episodes, and didn't want anybody to know. So I'm guessing he did that so that he can get through the episodes faster and not have to wait for his friends to get caught up. His friends, I should say, his family. But something I thought that was kind of cool about the Zappipede character designs is that I like how the eyes have like a negative and positive, kind of like how on a battery that has like negative and positive sides. So I thought that was a pretty creative choice. They're very zappy creatures, so zappy they end up charging Anne's phone to like 10,000%, and so overall, I thought Suspicion Island was a pretty fun adventure. I'm kind of surprised that I was actually convinced that Hopluck wasn't into Anne's TV show, but of course it was the route where it's like he put up a face to make it seem like he wasn't interested, but it was really just a front to trick his family so that he could get a chance to go through all the episodes on his own. So next episode here, Anne Theft Auto, where Anne wants to learn how to drive. I guess you could say, Hop Snail Bessie. And so, I mean, the way basically in Amphibia, the characters, instead of driving a car, they ride around using all these kind of bug creatures. So like with Hop, it's a snail. For this other character in the episode, it's a ladybug. And it's kind of like a mix between riding an animal and driving a car, in that and has to go through all these instructions in order to learn how to, I'll just say, in order to learn how to drive Bessie. And it's really, at first she's not really up for the idea, because Hop's book on the history of Bessie is like really wordy. It would honestly really intimidate me too, if back when I was learning to drive, if I had to go through a really wordy book. So at first, Anne and Sprig are, learning to, are doing okay, like, Anne taking charge and, riding around Bessie, throughout the town, and then they go off-road. But then things start going south when, all of a sudden, when they go off-road, Bessie is, like, hiding under, her shell, and they're not sure what to do. Sprig tries to go back into town with the help of this elderly woman, which, by the way, I noticed at one point this this character is using like a sort of stick shift to ride around her ladybug. So again, kind of like a mix between driving a car and riding an animal, which I thought was kind of neat. And so through this experience of Anne waiting for Sprig or Hop to come back, she ends up reading the book, which not only gives her like tidbits on how to ride around Bessie, but it also helps her initially emotionally connect with Bessie. There's even a point where like Anne is like crying and saying, oh, I really like Bessie now. And where the book ends up giving tips on how to deal with hairy situations is when these hedgehog creatures try to attack Bessie and Anne is like looking through all the instructions. What was the first one? Is that she has to say some kind of saying to get Bessie to go. It was, and I have it written down here. Here it was. Yeah, it was, the saying was, Bessie, things are getting messy. And then at another point of the episode, when Anne and Bessie are trying to get away, Bessie actually has some berries hidden away that Anne could use to fend off the hedgehog creatures and things like that. So yeah, again, another really creative episode. The episode ends pretty well, and so I really like, so looking back, I think, like I said, I like how in this world, riding around a creature, it has that mix of like, not only is it like kind of like riding a horse, but you're also sort of controlling and learning about it as if you're driving a car, like reading a book, and or using, like I said, that other character was using like a sort of stick shift to control the ladybug she was riding around. So I think looking back, I think looking back, that was probably the thing that I liked most about the episode. Again, a lot of creativity, and I definitely understood where Anne was coming from, in that she also needed that experience of getting to ride it around, because I get the sense that she's very much the kind of person who learns through doing things. Like, I'm very much the same way, in that I learn a lot better when I actually like go out there and start doing things on my own, rather than, through reading a book. So I also got the sense that Anne is a very visual learner. Like, I remember one of the funniest points in the episode is she freaks out when when she asks Hopluck, "Are there pictures in your book at least?" And Sprig is like, "There's diagrams." I mean, Hopluck says, "Oh, there's diagrams," and doesn't like that. And honestly, yeah, that would also be my reaction too. So, a bit of a character insight there. And so, yeah, overall, I thought Grand Theft Auto was another pretty good episode. And then this next episode, I actually thought the next episode was going to be a lot more gross, but of course, they don't go in that direction. Breakout Star, where Anne has pimples on her face. She's got acne on like her face in this episode, and she's really worried that the people in town, because she already has a very kind of, I don't want to say antagonistic, but she doesn't have like a very good relationship to the townspeople. I'm guessing because Anne is a human and the townspeople are not real big fans of her, and she's thinking, oh no, people aren't gonna like, are not gonna like it if they, see the pimples on my face. And so what ends up happening is, she goes into like town because she has to go out and sell these screaming beans with the Plantars, and these kids accidentally trip Anne, which causes like the covering she has on her face to come off, and she accidentally reveals to the town that she's got pimples on her face. And at first she thinks that, oh no, people aren't going to like that. But it actually turns out in Amphibia, the frog characters actually find that to be really cool, and they end up really liking her. And even the mayor, and the story of this episode is that when the town realizes that they like seeing Anne with the pimples, he starts hanging out with her, although it's really to boost his reputation. I mean, the mayor, is one of these crummy politician characters who's doing, anything in his power to remain like popular with the people and things like that. And so, like I said, he ends up hanging out with Anne, and like even as like Anne going around and like signing, and she's like signing autographs and cutting the ribbon, things like a statue and this orphanage, and he even lets her stay in like his mansion. And it goes the route where like Anne becomes very consumed by fame and saying, this is really cool, and it even causes her to speak in like this very like blunt way about how she didn't like living in the stinky basement of the Plantars. But of course the Plantars come to help her out toward the end, especially when Anne finds out that when in the middle of the episode, when Anne's pimples have completely healed and she has to find an alternative. So, and I thought one of the fun scenes of this episode was when the Plantars sneak Anne out through this bin of towels, but when the crowd finds out that Anne is in the bin, they start like chasing her like she's a celebrity, and the Plantars have to get away. And something that Hopluck does is she actually has Anne give him, I'm getting tongue-tied, and he has Anne give him her shoe, and it's the thing where it's like, hey, I got Anne's shoe, and is trying to get like the fans to go after him instead of Anne. And when his family and Anne is like, oh no, Hopluck's gonna get like all like pummeled by the crowd, Hopluck makes like a Lord of the Rings reference where he's like, "Fly, you fools!" and so Anne, Sprig, and Polly go off to find some kind of alternative by putting berries on her face. And so Anne goes off to this other gathering with the mayor, and the mayor doesn't want Anne to be hanging out with the Plantars, because a lot of people in the town don't really like the Plantars. And so At first, it seems like Anne agrees, but of course, there's no way she could give up the family that she's living with in Amphibia, and takes off the berries and goes back to living with the Plantars. So it ends off in that really nice way. So overall, I would say that I did enjoy these episodes of Amphibia. Like I said, these are episodes 2 through 5, so they're not the super heavy episodes just yet. It's probably going to be within the next couple live streams, and so, yeah. So in the next stream, I'll go over episodes 6 through 10, which I'm not going to watch them right now because copyright reasons, but I'll just go through what are episodes 2 through 5. I mean, excuse me, episodes 6 through 10. In which, oh, wow. Oh my goodness. And so it might even already be getting into a kind of crazy episode. It might even be one of them, so who knows. So episodes. So in the next streams, I'll go over episodes. The following episodes: Sprig versus Hopluck, Girl Time, Dating Season, Anne versus Wild, Contagion. I think that's how it's pronounced. Family Shrub, Lily Pad Thai. That's one I heard about. Where Anne opens a restaurant. Plantars, Last Stand, Toad Tax, and Prison Break. Which ooh, that one's gonna be interesting because I'm curious about what Sasha is like. I know in a prior episode there was a very brief scene. I think the character Grime is looking over Sasha, so I'm kind of wondering what causes Anne and Sasha's relationship to go south. Because we see that while Anne ends up with the Plantars, Sasha ends up going with Grime. So, which, I feel like that in itself would explain a lot about why the two characters become much more antagonistic toward each other. But I'm just like, oh my goodness gracious, that's gonna be a really crazy episode to look at. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe somebody in the chat who's much more competent than me can see if that's going to be the crazy. Because, like, I kind of get the sense that, oh, yeah, that's going to be when things start going pretty insane. So, but I'll talk about those episodes in the next stream, which I'm not really sure when I'll get to doing that, since it is the weekend. This should mean that I should get more time to check them out. I am working on another video as I'm going through this, going through these Amphibia videos. I announced on social media that I have unboxed this character, Mirai Toa, who is the mascot for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. And I've actually been planning this one. And I don't know what occurred to me, but after I unboxed the Paralympic mascot, Someiji, I started thinking that, maybe I can do something really crazy for the unboxing of Mirai Toa. And I basically planned this really crazy intro. Like, it's actually been something that I've been planning to do with Gabby for a while now, and she actually just sent me her footage remotely, and I started putting some special effects on them. So I feel like that's going to have to be the next video I work on. I'm actually really happy with the turnout of the Olympic mascot videos. I'm really glad that's something outside of what I normally cover on this channel has gotten quite a bit of love on YouTube. is awesome because collecting Olympic mascots has kind of become like my new pastime. Like, sort of like this is my version of catching Pokemon, if you will. I mean, I don't know if you can see very well, but you could see I've got mascots from other Olympic Games right behind me. Like, I've got mascots from the Beijing Summer Olympics. I don't think I'm going to get the mascots for the Beijing Winter Games until after those are over, because usually when, like, before and during the Olympics, that's when the mascots are really pricey. I've also got mascots from both the Vancouver 2010 Winter and Paralympic Games, and also you might be able to see behind me that I've got the mascot from the LA 1984 Summer Olympics, and also the one from the Moscow 1980 Summer Games. The two others I have are one of the mascots from the Salt Lake City Winter Olympics, which is the Olympics that I have the earliest memories of, and also the mascots from the Pyeongchang Olympics and Paralympics, the Winter Games that took place in South Korea in 2018. And of course, since I have this character with me, I've also got Amiga, who's my personal favorite Olympic mascot, even though this character doesn't really get along with me. Ow. Do you think that Miga and Mirai Toa would get along? I guess not. But, I just noticed that my internet started going wonky. So, subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring the bell, to get notified when I do my next Amphibia stream. I think for the remainder of the stream, I'll just go full screen on this. If I do get some comments, I'll, switch things over and change up the format. So, yeah. I will say, me and my sister, we actually nicknamed Mirai Toa. We often just call it Mirai, and then for Someiti, we often just call Someiti Some. And so, so if you want to check out the unboxing I did of Someiti, you could check that out on my channel. That video is up. The next one I'll be working on is with Mirai Toa. So maybe it's because of the pandemic, but I was kind of I noticed that there wasn't really, at least during the Olympic events. I know that if you go to Mirai Toa's official Instagram, you could see it jumping around at like different Olympic events, or even showing off some of the different sports. But I noticed that I didn't really see much of during the actual events of a actor jumping around in a Mirai Toa costume, whereas in the Pyeongchang Olympics, you could see there was somebody in a Suharan costume, like, jumping around. Maybe it's because of the pandemic and they want to, like, make sure they don't want the actor to take a risk and things like that. But I noticed during the Paralympic closing ceremony, you could see both Mirai Toa and Someiti, like, dancing around. So I was like, how come both characters weren't at the closing ceremony of the Olympics? And during the Olympic opening ceremony, most of the time an actor was dressed up as Mirai Toa backstage, but during the actual event, the only time I remember seeing Mirai Toa on TV was there was like a plush of it during the, I think it was the scene in it was either when they showed off the pictograms or the one where they showed off that kabuki actor. So yeah, so I don't know. Maybe it was just a protection sort of thing. I don't know. So anybody else is still here? You want to talk about your favorite episodes of Amphibia or your favorite characters? Feel free to do so. Like I said, don't get too spoilery, because I'm not even close to being caught up yet. But it is a show that I am very much looking forward to getting caught up in, and yeah, and so what was I going to say? So I feel like I'm already starting to think, oh no, what's Prison Break going to be about? I'm learning not to catastrophize. I've learned lately that because the human mind is such a very powerful thing, that I often have to remind myself that, hey, don't, believe in your like catastrophizing and panicking, because at the end of the day those are just thoughts, so you can't let them, stop you from doing things like watching the Amphibia episodes. And I think the reason I've stuck around and still watch these shows, even though nowadays, because I notice much more things about the episodes. I mean, it's like what I say about the Home Alone example, where I say that as a kid, Home Alone was this really funny movie, but I notice a lot of adults that watch it, even people who like the Home Alone movies, are like, whoa, if somebody pulled off these traps in real life, it could kill somebody and things like that. So I feel like it's a matter of, because I've gotten older, I started to question a lot more the emotions of the characters and things like that. And so it's like what my buddy Andrew said, where it's a thing where it's like he thinks it was a matter of, because I don't have that sense of innocence that I did when I was a kid. It's what makes me like take a lot of these shows as hard as I do. But at the same time, and I know lots of people say that, oh, Amphibia is really intense, just like Star or Infinity Train. Oh my god, Infinity Train with Tuba's death especially, that was really tough to get through. Or Owl House. People still do like have that, like are still able to watch the episodes and again. I'm sure even me doing this stream, some people, it's helping people remind them of some of the earlier Amphibia episodes and not just the later episodes or the most intense ones and things like that. As somebody that's interested in cars, I've said this many times before, I have to treat it like I'm driving, instead of taking it like a big catastrophe or taking it as though I am one of the characters, I have to take it as if it's a less drastic but still fun example. Like, I often bring up analogies like, oh, it's like driving a off-road vehicle on a really mountainy road. Instead of freaking out, the thing you just have to do is get those four-wheel drive controls. Or if it's like a track car, you just have to, learn to like shift gears. And in my case, I have to change it up to a response where it lets me, in a way, express a lot of the fear I feel, but in a more like sort of fun kind of way. Like lately, if you've been following me on Twitter, I've been getting into, I haven't gotten to rewatch this movie lately, but I've been having a sort of Back to the Future nostalgia craze, and it reminded me a lot of the like a very like kind of extreme reactions of like Doc Brown screaming, or when he's like going around saying 1.21 gigawatts. I don't know why I said that in that tone of voice. Christopher Lloyd would say it more like 1.21 gigawatts and that kind of thing. Or when like Marty is screaming and things like that. Or something I always think of is that scene in Back to the Future 2 where he sees Biff kiss his mom and he's like, no, and things like that. So because I remember when the Angry Video Game Nerd did his Back to the Future episode, he spliced in some of those like really intense reactions from both Doc Brown and Marty and things like that. So I often, resort to reminding myself of those things or even rewatching them. I've also brought up another example from the past is when in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, when Will is trying to make that flambe and it goes awry and the flambe starts like burning up and he's like screaming and saying like anti-M and things like that. So they basically just it's a way for me to both um remind myself that, at the end of the day, it's a TV show. It's not something that's literally dangerous, like driving down a dangerous road or things like that. And so, yeah, I'm probably going to be thinking about that a lot throughout the next episodes. I mean, at the end of the day, I shouldn't be too surprised that there's going to be a Sasha episode, because I don't think it would be a good idea if they just completely left out like Sasha and Marcy for like a really, really long time, because then it gets to the problem of, so where have Sasha and Marcy, where have they been? So yeah, because I feel like one of the problems, if they just saved Sasha for the very end of the season, then they would be running into the problem of having to, like, rush her side of the story, and it doesn't, it feels like it's too much to take in. Not just because it's intense, but it's also, I don't think it's good storytelling if they were to rush Sasha's story. And also, if they rush Sasha's story, then they wouldn't have time to explain, like, what's going on with her and Grime and all the things like that. So yeah, I'm just probably gonna be freaking out like Doc Brown, Marty, or Will Smith when I get to the Prison Break episode. I mean, the fact that, like, that name, its name is similar to a this intense Fox TV show. I'm just like, oh, help me. I mean, yeah, I mean, I probably should just incorporate a lot of my, like, reactions to all these really intense scenes, like, it's the angry video game nerd freaking out, and things like that. So keep this stream going for, like, say, another 5 minutes in case anybody else wants to drop by. And so, like I said, if you have any thoughts on the Amphibia episodes or characters, you could let me know in the chat. Oh, I don't want that. Yeah, I just remember when I did that Comic-Con stream with Andrew, he was saying, oh yeah, some of the later season 2 episodes just get like very consistently intense. So I'm just like, oh, help me. Because I do remember as a kid, I was able to get through shows like Avatar and Invader Zim. Okay, I remember with Avatar, I was even looking forward to the more intense episodes because I felt like I was watching a really great movie. So, yeah, I mean, it just sucks that I don't have that kind of enthusiasm anymore. I mean, I still watch them because I genuinely do enjoy a good story. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still have good memories of like seeing the Star versus the Forces of Evil Battle from Uni episode Toffee, where Star turns into butterfly mode. So that was like, as my friend put it, that was breathtaking. Or even, I mean, this is another transformation scene, but still really amazing. That recent Owl House episode, Knock Knock Knocking on Hootie's Door, when Ida comes to terms with her curse and changes into Harpy Ida. I really enjoyed that. So, yeah. I mean, because deep down, I did wish that I got caught up on Amphibia sooner. I was worried back in season 2 about getting caught up because I didn't want to do a thing where while there was a new Amphibia episode out, I was reviewing like a season 1 episode or something like that and causing like, great confusion. But at this point, since I've already committed to it, I'm basically just going to do what I want to do as far as getting caught up. So, like I said, I'm not going to make promises that I'll be caught up before the 3rd season comes out. I hope at least I can get caught up before the 3rd season ends. So I'm basically taking this month to get caught up on this show. It's funny, as I start thinking about the later episodes, I started like humming the old America's Funniest Home Videos theme, like back in the Bob Saget days. So yeah, I guess it's just like kind of like my brain's way of coping and reminding myself to still have fun. All right, so I'm gonna end things off here. So thank you to those who have joined the stream. Like I said, so my next video is going to be about unboxing the Tokyo 2020 Olympic mascot Mirai Toa. If you want to see me unbox the Paralympic mascot Sumeiti, you could check it out on the channel. And so, like I said, just to run through the episode list again, the next time I do a Amphibia stream, I'll be talking about these episodes: Sprig versus Hopbop, Girl Time, Dating Season, Anne versus Wild, Contagion, Family Shrub, Lily Pad Thai, Plantars Last Stand, Toad Tax, and Prison Break. And so, yeah, I'll be looking at those episodes in my next stream. So yeah, oh boy, so it seems like, yeah, so my intense episodes are going to be coming sooner than I expected. So, once again, for those who, joined the stream, thank you for tuning in. I hope to get caught up on Amphibia soon. If you like the stream, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, give this video a like, and ring the bell to be notified whenever I do any of my streams, or really any of my videos. I hope you, check out, my Mirai Toa unboxing when I get finished with that. So until next time, this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thank you all for watching.